Hey everybody, and welcome back to another max velocity weather forecast. And in today's forecast, we'll be going over that severe weather potential for this upcoming Thursday and Friday across portions of the United States where all modes of severe weather will be possible. We'll also be discussing the tropical storm Lisa currently in the Caribbean Sea. Where's it heading next? I'll give you a breakdown on that later in this forecast. But before we get into that, let's talk about the nationwide weather currently ongoing today across the United States, because we do have some interesting features that are currently ongoing. Beginning with the Northeast, we have a trough that is finally moving out. This is the one that brought severe weather to the Southeast the other day, brought several tornadoes to Alabama and Mississippi. It is finally moving out of the United States. After today, it should be gone. That cold front extends all the way back down through Florida. However, Florida's not seeing any precipitation really out of that. We have another little disturbance back down in the Gulf of Mexico, not expected to develop into anything, but it is bringing a little bit of rainfall to areas in South Texas. It brought a very low-end chance for tornadoes yesterday. I don't expect that to carry on into today. And then back over in the Northwest United States, it is a whole different story. We're talking about snow, we're talking about rain, and we're eventually going to be talking about a severe weather potential going into Thursday and Friday that could turn into an outbreak over the central and southern plains because of all of that. Now, beginning with Thursday night is when we'll have our first chance for severe weather out of this system. There is a slight risk of severe weather. It extends from Kansas back through the panhandle of Texas. Main concerns for right now really are all modes of severe weather, but I would expect damaging winds and large hail to be our main concerns. A few tornadoes will also be possible, most likely, again, stretching from Kansas back through Texas. Oklahoma is also included in that potential. Heading into the following day, into Friday, this is a whole different story. We have a huge slight risk of severe weather. I would expect an upgrade to an enhanced risk at some point in the near future for this day. This will extend from South Kansas back through a large chunk of Texas. Main concern will likely be damaging winds, but we could have a few tornadoes and large hail as well possible. Now, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn post notifications, because I'll most likely be live on both Thursday and Friday covering this event. Before discussing the timing of the severe weather, I want to discuss the jet stream, because this has played a massive part into what we can expect in terms of severe weather this upcoming week. And really, it's interesting, because a couple of days ago, this was supposed to be a cutoff low, which means we would have saw a lot more severe weather, potentially as high as even like a moderate risk of severe weather was not out of the question. Now that's becoming less and less likely, because this is likely to be a bit more of a positively tilted trough heading into Thursday into Friday. It will eventually become a bit more neutral, and then heading into Saturday, it goes a bit more negatively tilted, which might bring a little tornado threat to potentially back up here through the Midwest and the mid-Mississippi Valley. So it's quite interesting what's evolved over the last few days. If you remember from my last forecast, we were planning on this being a cutoff low. No longer looks like that'll be the case. So good news there overall. All that means is that we'll probably see less severe weather. So that's obviously definitely good news overall, but we're still seeing probably at least scattered to numerous severe weather anyways. All right, timing in terms of the central plains, this will be our first day of severe weather. First, storms will fire up going into Thursday evening, so probably just after the rush hour commute. Then eventually heading into the evening and overnight hours, severe weather will become a lot more potent. We'll see a lot more storms develop back through about Nebraska through Texas, so that threat will extend across several states. And then eventually heading into Friday morning, severe weather likely to become less likely going to Friday morning. Severe weather will ramp up, though, again, going into Friday evening and into Saturday morning. If we go further to the south, we'll definitely notice the difference between the storms. We're going to probably see much more numerous and widespread activity. That could lead to more of just damaging winds overall, with maybe a couple of tornadoes due to the widespread nature of these storms. And eventually heading into late Friday night into Saturday morning, that complex of storms will move through areas in the Mississippi Valley, back through Arkansas and Louisiana, and then heading into Saturday afternoon, that will quickly move off to the east, most likely posing a low severe weather potential heading into Saturday, which has not yet been issued by the Storm Prediction Center, but is likely going to occur from about, I would say, Illinois back through the south, probably through the mid-Mississippi Valley, due to the fact this will still be a negatively tilted trough, and it might bring a little bit of severe weather, potentially a tornado threat back through Illinois, and again, all the way back through the mid-Mississippi Valley. So something to watch going into Saturday, and eventually heading into Sunday morning. This trough is out of the United States. We'll hardly feel any impacts after Sunday. Pretty remarkable how quickly this is going to move, by the way. It is definitely crazy to say the least. Talking about the temperatures over the next several days, not a whole lot is going to happen in terms of cold blasts or Arctic blasts, whatever you want to call them. We're really not going to see much of anything. It's going to be pretty mumuch just around or above average, other than that trough that is going to move through, again, the southern and central plains, that severe weather potential. Behind it will bring slightly cooler weather. Not going to make much of a difference, though, because heading into next week, we're all going back to at least at or above above average. So it's going to be another above average week next week. And then eventually heading into late next week, we might have some cooler weather in the northern plains. But again, we are far away from that. So we'll keep you posted, though, if anything changes there. Talking about the rainfall totals over the next several days, not a whole lot is being forecasted in areas like the southeast. However, there is a big blob of red, which probably means we're going to see upwards of several inches of rain across a large area of the United States, extending from the upper Midwest through the southern plains. So fairly impressive there, to say the least. To end off this forecast, we do have an interesting story for you. We have Tropical Storm Lisa in the Caribbean Sea. There's a lot of convection with this system. It is a tropical storm with sustained winds at about 45 miles per hour, but it will strengthen over the next 24 to 48 hours before making landfall late Wednesday night, into Thursday morning across areas near the Yucatan Peninsula there near Mexico and Guatemala. So this will be a system to watch for very closely, likely to become a Category 1 hurricane. From here, it may enter the Gulf of Mexico briefly. The computer model tracks, like long-term, are showing it might go into the Gulf of Mexico, but it's not forecasted to strengthen in the Gulf of Mexico. It's actually forecasted to weaken. So interesting information there. Make sure to like button down below, subscribe if you've not already. This forecast is brought to you by Platinum Contracting.